There's a couple of videos that I forwarded over to you. I think the first one is and you can just roll it as we talk. The first one is an alleged cell phone footage taping of an abduction aboard a spacecraft.
Tired of UFO debunkers laughing at you and insisting you have no proof of the alien presence on Earth? Are you sick of testifying under oath about the reality that we're not alone in the universe, that a faction within the United States government is hiding this truth from the public while operating a covert program to reverse engineer retrieved extraterrestrial crafts that crashed, but you have no evidence other than words to back up your assertions? Are you tired of government officials lying to you about UFOs and aliens? Well, have we got the solution for you? Introducing new, absolute proof of the non-human intelligence on Earth. Stop gaslighting, obfuscation, and idiocy in their tracks with absolute proof. Brought to you by the Las Vegas alien incident of 2023, Absolute Proof is the game changer you've been waiting for. Just before midnight on April 30th, 2023, an object that looks similar to a meteor was seen falling from the sky from 4 states. It was captured on police body cameras, car cameras, and private home surveillance cameras before it made a hard landing in the Las Vegas backyard of a family of 4. Teenage brothers Angel and Joshua were working on their father's truck at the time and watched in amazement as the blue and green lighted object slammed onto the ground, throwing up red sparks. The object became instantly invisible upon impact, and the boys then heard thousands of footsteps running off in various directions. Next thing Angel knew, he was face to face with 2 8 to 10 foot tall alien beings, one of which was able to momentarily paralyze the youth just by staring him in the eyes. Eventually, the 2 brothers escaped the yard and informed Mother Contra and Father Bobby of the high strangeness. The 2 brothers and father, armed with handguns, then attempted to enter the backyard to scare the intruders away or shoot them dead if necessary, while the mother filmed the action with her cell phone camera. Seconds upon entering the yard via a metal gate, one of the creatures emerged from the darkness and scared them back out. Soon after this engagement with apparent beings from another world, Angel called 911 to report 2 tall alien creatures in his backyard.
9 feet, 10 foot, I don't know, they look like aliens to us. Big eyes, they have big eyes, like I can't explain it, and big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
By the time police arrived, the creatures and craft were gone, and all that was left was a shocked and terrified family. A subsequent analysis of the video by world-renowned crime scene reconstruction expert Scott Roeder and his team determined that the 1 minute and 41 second long cell phone footage was authentic and untampered with. Furthermore, Roeder and his team determined that there were tall alien creatures captured in the video and that they were using some type of cloaking technology to hide themselves from detection. Unfortunately for the aliens, but fortunately for us, that technology wasn't apparently up to par that night because we can see the faces of these weird critters appearing and disappearing throughout. This one here matches exactly an insectoid creature that abducted 4 young men in Maine's Allagash Wilderness in 1976. Further analysis of the video revealed that, in addition to the tall creatures, there were short aliens present as well, including this little guy, who has come to be known as the Undeniable Backbreaker, or UB for short, because his existence cannot be denied or debunked. UB, as you can plainly see, meets the common description of the short alien gray. So, next time you're confronted by idiotic debunkers, make sure you're equipped with absolute proof and watch them scurry away from it faster than Count Dracula running away from a crucifix. And when you're asked to testify about the extraterrestrial reality in a congressional hearing, feel confident that you have absolute proof in your back pocket to finally move the discussion over the hump and shake the world off its foundations. Absolute Proof, the brand where you can't go wrong. And it's guaranteed. Right, Scott?
I guarantee it.
Well, welcome back, Scott. As always, it's great to see you.
Good to see you too, Sean. I am really happy that you just randomly came across that infomercial about
just randomly.
Yeah.
I just don't know where I can get absolute proof. Where can I find it, Scott?
Well, you can find it right at my podcast channel, Crime Scene Time Machine, where we're serving up absolute proof every week.
All right. So, what else is going on in this area?
Well, it's been interesting since we came out with the Las Vegas alien case and have garnered some substantial attention on it. I think the most attention that we've been getting is from people themselves who have had or claim to have had experiences from, with beings from another world. And there's a couple of videos that I forwarded over to you. I think the first one is and you can just roll it as we talk. The first one is an alleged cell phone footage taping of an abduction aboard a spacecraft taken by a gentleman. I had access to the first generation with metadata video footage, access to the phone, access to the photographer who took the video, who is also an experiencer. He claims to be a lifelong abductee experiencer. And this was something that he didn't personally recall. However, a couple of days later, he was going through his cell phone camera footage, just deleting old things he didn't need, and he came across this video.
When the United States and China clash, the world will never be the same, especially when forces beyond reality threaten to intervene. What if the United States went to war with the People's Republic of China? How would these rivals fight for supremacy on land, sea, air, and across the stochastic streams of time? What wonder weapons would be unleashed? What horrors would emerge from the irradiated sludge of the South China Sea? What heroes would rise and forever change the course of history? Tread into the deepest and darkest dimensions of the multiverse, gaze through a kaleidoscope of fractured realities, and bear witness to the disturbing visions of World War III from today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War, China. Available now from Bain Books at bain.com.
And that's when he had kind of held on to it for a while, was dealing with several people in the UFO community who I think were very hesitant on bringing it forward for whatever reason. We were able to look at it, and because we had access to the photographer, the original video, the metadata, we can say that it is not an edited video. Again, this is an authentic video. And so the question is, what's going on in the video? The gentleman who gave me this footage, who's remaining anonymous at this time, but I can personally vouch for his identity, that he's a regular guy out of South Florida. And I look at the footage, and we've done all kinds of different things to it. To me, it looks like there is a gray alien and some sort of a lizard type creature that are standing in front of the photographer being filmed.
Let me share it, and then you can talk through kind of what we're seeing. And here we go.
Yeah, so let's play that up. Now, I think this one's 7 minutes long. So this is our edited version. So just go ahead and play it. And so what we see here is the original footage is 42 seconds long. So this is in a program that we use to break out every individual frame and try to maximize contrast and colors. You can see that it's very pixelated and very fuzzy. Mm-hmm. And that is consistent with, I think, digital camera recordings of encounters with extraterrestrials. They seem to have the ability to interfere with the electrical signal, which can cause this kind of grainy footage. And we can look back at like analog camera photographs of early UFOs and things, and those seem more clear because there's no electrical component to interfere with the aperture. So I think we have a typical interference video by the ET themselves. Here I clearly can see two eyes and the shape of a head that is in that of a classic gray. We see a red light in the background, which the experiencer says to us, and we've seen this out of the window of his balcony at his home in not West Palm Beach, in the southern island in Florida.
The Keys?
Yeah, the most southern island in the Keys. Key West, in Key West, Florida, outside of his balcony window, about a half a mile away or a mile away, is a cell phone tower that blinks these red lights. Now, that cell phone tower is, I think, up to maybe 100 feet tall. That cell phone tower might be taller. And it matches up in the blinking sequence as the red light we see in the background of this video. In the foreground, we see the shape of an alien. Now, just tell me, do you see that figure with the two eyes looking straight at the camera as we look at it here?
Kind of right in here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then sometimes you can see some in the background too.
Yeah. And then when the camera pans, now we have image stabilization. So when he moves the camera, we're trying to stabilize the image. So the camera's going to shift over. If you it's going to do it naturally here. But standing to the left of the screen of this original gray alien or whatever it is, with the red light of the cell phone tower behind him there, when we pan over to his left, we see another creature who looks smaller and more reptilian in nature. Now, I'm not testifying to what kind of creatures they are or where they come from or whether they're ETs or paranormal or demons or what. Nobody's to tell. But clearly something's being caught on this film and during this footage that is inexplicable and difficult to explain with any kind of terrestrial explanation. We've looked at, what are the possibilities that this is a hoax, right? So if this is a hoax, it would have to be a pretty darn good puppet show hoax with a pretty darn good static filter over the top of it, done by a legitimate businessman for no reason and for no profit. So here we see another, but I don't see how on the 5th floor of a, that high up in elevation, how you can hoax this, why you would hoax this. And you would have to hoax it in the physical, not in the digital. So those are just some observations on the footage as you go through it. And I'm actually, like I said, it's this is blasted out to be 8 minutes in length when it's really 42 seconds in actual time. But yeah, it's an interesting case, and a case that was brought to me as a result of the exposure that we got from just regular people on the Vegas case. And so people are sending me footage kind of on the weekly basis of UFOs and blue portals in the sky. I have one instance of a floating purple brain coming right up next to the camera that comes out of some sort of a blue portal in the sky. So, and of course, tons of just flying saucers that are being caught going in and out of the clouds and so forth. So those are almost just not even worthwhile reporting on anymore based on the volume of UFO sightings that we just see. For example, during the California fires, there was evidence of UFOs zipping by live feeds of the fire that was played on national news. That's clear as day and unrefutable. So, the idea that we're catching a UFO on tape isn't that exciting anymore. I think we're going for the actual beings themselves. I think that's much more of a...
Well, that's a pretty defined picture in the middle right now.
Look at that. Yeah. And he could be moving his head and having different reflections coming in, but there's something there.
Is there any noise?
In the original footage, and I could play that for you, in the original footage, and I'll get that queued up. In the original footage, we have audio, and it's very interesting, and I'll play it for you. So as I get that queued up, you can continue looking at that. It's in my favorites here. I've got it right here, I think, is the original. You're hearing my dog whine a little bit, but he'll be just fine. Okay, so I have this up. So let me share this screen with you. And let me go back to the camera here. And now if I share, I can share with you what's going on here. And now here's the original footage. And we'll go ahead and play that. Let me go full screen on this real quick. Okay. All right, here we go.
Holy crap. Holy crap. It's crazy. Fuck.
Yeah, you can clearly see the being like right there.
Right. And this is unedited, raw. All we did on this particular version is stabilize the footage. And then there are, it's funny how I love dogs so much. My dog, Bear, he's my Belgian Malinois, sitting right here as I'm manipulating my mouse to put the footage on the screen. He's taking his hand and flipping my wrist up because he's
ready to go out. He's ready to go.
Yeah. But anyway, but that's an interesting piece of footage. What do you think of that, Sean?
To advertise on Through a Glass Darkly, email throughaglassdarkly@gmail.com.
I think it's interesting. I mean, we can't declare that it's real or that it's at this point, right? You need to do a lot further analysis. What does the person who gave it to you say?
Well, here's what I can declare. I can declare that the video was given to me in its original format with the metadata, and we don't see any tampering to the actual footage itself. That I can say. What is going on camera, I think that is open for interpretation. What the guy who filmed the footage is also the gentleman who I'm in contact with for quite a while now. We have lots of communication, a lot of conversations about this. We went on the Whitley Strieber show about this case already. But what is going on in the footage? He says these are beings that abducted him, and that he's been abducted by beings all his life from the time he was a little kid. Very similar to Whitley Strieber's version of his lifelong abduction experience, contact, life that he's had. So I think it's a very interesting case. I think there's a lot more to learn. I think honestly that there's going to be more footage from this guy. If what he's saying is true, he may have other opportunities to film this in the future.
Interesting. And how do you think he was able to film? Like, what did he say? Did he have the presence of mind? Because you said, I think early on, that he didn't even remember this.
Yeah. He had no recollection of this event at the time he found the footage. Okay. Now, since then, it's been years since the footage now, because he didn't want to come forward. He wasn't looking for notoriety or publicity. He was dealing with Leslie Kane and different folks. I think even Jacques Vallée, other people were looking at it. We've had other video experts evaluate it for its authenticity, but this is far beyond authenticating a video. This is getting into some really mystical stuff with regard to the UFO experience. And it's one thing of beings accidentally landing in your backyard and you get scared and you get this accidental footage. But this is an intentional visitation, if you believe his version of the events, that this is a curated moment by the ETs for this individual, and he's somehow allowed to or manages to capture footage. Either they let him to or he got through the weeding system to get it in, but who knows? Yeah.
What device did he use to record this?
It was a Galaxy Android phone from, I think it's like a 2020 version of that phone. This happened, I think, in 2021. So it was a
Interesting.
1-year-old Galaxy phone in 2021, I believe.
Okay.
I have to go back and double check all that.
And what part of the country was this?
Key West, Florida.
Oh, that's right. You did say that.
Yeah.
You did say it.
Yeah. But it's a preview. It's just something to tickle the audience's attention because we are going to have a full-length, deep dive, 2-hour interview with the man who took the footage himself. He has stories of things he's learned in regression therapy. He has stories of implements that he claims. He has scars from implants. He is currently undergoing some sort of a medical testing to see if he's predisposed for this kind of a thing, which kind of dives into Gary Nolan's research on certain brain chemistry or type of thing. So I think it's an interesting case. I'm going to learn more about it as I go, but I think the footage out there, it's important to get the footage out so that people, I think, have an idea of what real things look like versus curated things. If I was going to curate an event, it wouldn't look as grainy and have that.
Yeah, it would be super clear. It would be like those alleged KGB photos.
Yeah, right.
That you saw.
But this is one of many instances that have been given to me as a result of kind of going public with the Vegas case. And we have other ones too, maybe not as spectacular as an in-your-face alien, contact on a ship or in a bedroom, but we have blue portals. That other video I sent you, if you want to play that, it's really cool stuff. We have
do you have the floating? I don't want to say it because I just kind of want to show it. Let the audience figure out what it is.
Oh yeah,
the floating thing. Do you have that?
Yeah. Hold on. All right, folks, we'll just play it for you, and we'll play it a couple of times, and there we go. Right there.
What the heck was that?
And hear that noise?
Yeah.
There are no children there. This is my friend. Well, he's my friend now. I've got to know him pretty well, but let's play it again. Him and his brother. Right there. Boom. Let's pause it. Right there. So right here, this comes up on the screen, and I can only describe it as a bodiless, floating purple brain. That is.
It looks like a floating jellyfish.
Yeah. Right. And I'm just going back and forward. It's in this, and the effect that it had on the photographer. You'll listen to, and then you'll hear that ba-da, that's the aliens or whatever these beings are making noise. So we'll play it from the beginning, and I'll be very quiet. It's 22 seconds long. Listen to it all the way to the end, and then let's talk about what we hear. So there you go. Pretty interesting stuff, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't even know what to make of that. What about like visual artifacts or something like that? How do you know it's not that?
Well, I mean, to have such shape and 3D quality and movement and interaction, and then on top of it, the man Jonathan who filmed it himself, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that because he said this is what he saw, and what we're capturing on film is what he saw with his own eyes, and he said that it made him feel amazing. Like he started laughing; they couldn't stop laughing for days. This was he said this was a really positive experience in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And matter of fact, it was an important moment in his life because, from what he's told me, from this time forward, he's been a changed guy. And, I look at that footage and I don't know what I'm seeing there, but it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look demonic. Doesn't look like he's there to get him, but it definitely touched him in some way that he perceives as positive. And I think in a world that's spinning in the negative connotation so often, I thought it was interesting to bring something that maybe is not so negative.
Fascinating. And then are you interviewing him on your show anytime soon?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he and I are having an ongoing conversation. He is giving me other footage that I'm not prepared to go public with yet because I'm still looking into it. But I trust this guy. He seems to be kind of like a magnet for this phenomenon. And, I think that's something people need to be aware of out there is you can be a magnet or you can be a lightning rod. You want to draw in things that you want to draw in, but you don't want to leave yourself flapping open in the thunderstorm for anybody to go ahead and zap your pole, because it's kind of like those astronomers that, they kind of throw out the thing into outer space to anybody who'll get it. Here we are, we're planet Earth. You don't know who's going to pick up the other end of that phone, right? Maybe it's not somebody you want to talk to. So I think there's a difference between opening yourself up for these experiences. Now, mind you, I've never had an experience, nor am I seeking one myself, but I think certain people can open themselves up possibly to be experiencers or to experience things, whereas other people can unwittingly open themselves up for potentially negativity and hostile things. So I think, be careful what you play with. I'm trying to be an objective observer. I'm not looking for a play partner in the paranormal, but I am looking to observe and, gauge what's going on. But other people are willing to put themselves out there to interact. And I think, carpe diem. When you do that, folks, just be aware you're knocking on a door that you might not know who's behind it.
All right, Scott, I know you got an interested party and going outside that's pulling your attention. So
yeah, we've got we've got about an hour and a half left of sunlight, and I promised these dogs that I'd get them a hike on the mountain.
So one last question for you.
Sure.
Anything that you talked about the History Channel.
Yep.
Anything else that's brewing in the kind of the series in Japan? Anything else that's brewing or coming on the horizons that, if might not be able to talk about, you might be able to tease?
Well, at this time, we're looking at making some new friends out there in the podcast world. So I'm always willing to say hello to my new friends and try to get the word out there to people that are interested. And I think there's some big voices out there that are fair in treating the subject with curiosity. And, I'm not saying I'm the authority on any of these issues, except for that I can tell you what is real and what's not once I get a chance to, get my hands on it. But I leave it up to you guys, the people out there listening, as to what's important to you. What do you take away from it is, I think, what you put into it. And, I'm trying to put good work into it, a good ethic, positivity, and just a natural curiosity. And I'm going to continue on being curious and, trying to, move the subject forward any way I can if people want to hear it.
All right, brother. Always good to see you. And I always enjoy talking to you. And I can't wait to see potential things on the horizon.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Keep my fingers crossed,
All right, brother. Thank you again.
Thank you, Sean.
If you enjoyed today's video, please hit like and subscribe, and also hit the notification button so you can be notified whenever I post new content. Thank you. Now, if you're enjoying the channel and you want to support it, there are several things you can do. In fact, there are 5 things you can do. The first thing you can do is just buy my books. I got plenty of books out in the market right now, and I would prefer that folks buy a book rather than giving me direct support, because they get something out of it. They get a real tangible product. The second way you can support me is by becoming a member on YouTube or becoming a patron on Patreon. And just go to either site and it'll explain everything. third way you can support the channel is by checking out my merch site, which is here. There's plenty of stuff that you could get to support the channel. And I'd appreciate that you have it and can wear it. Not only do you help support the channel, but you also help promote the channel, and I appreciate that. The fourth way that you can support the channel, and this is really easy, is anytime you want to buy something on Amazon, literally just go to the description below and click on any link, literally any link. The channel gets a cut of that, and it costs you no extra money. You just go through the link, as I'm part of the Amazon Affiliates program. The fifth and final way you can support the channel is through donations. Now, I don't prefer these because it's more of a expression of gratitude, but you don't really get anything out of it as a subscriber to the channel. However, if you decide to do these options, there's two options. There's Buy Me a Coffee, which is a separate site. And there's also, you can go through YouTube with either a super chat, super sticker, or a super thanks. Again, I prefer Buy Me a Coffee because that organization takes less money than Amazon does. But either way, I appreciate any support you are willing to give the channel. So thank you very much and keep watching. I really appreciate it.